we are going to start looking at percent word problems, beginning with percent sentence problems, and I'm going to show you two ways to handle each of these. So here we go. Approach number one I'm going to do in blue, and approach number two I'm going to do in red. And you can kind of see a little bit of a difference between the two methods, and you can choose which one you like for yourself. With approach number one, I'm going to use a formula that says percent number over 100 is equal to the is number over the of number. I know that seems a little bit strange, but it will make sense once we start into the problems. Approach number two is going to be an algebra or algebraic approach, and I want you to note that how should I word this? Note that the percents must be written in decimal form, which means you'll be moving the decimal 2 places. And you'll see right as we start into this. Here we go with our first problem, and I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to take approach number one and do all 3 problems. Then we'll take approach number 2 and do all 3 problems. With approach number 1, we notice that we have one of these percent sentence problems, and we begin by writing fraction over 100 equals blank fraction. What is? If we go back up to our code list up above, the is number goes on the top right. What is? We're missing our is number. What is 36% of? 36 is our percent number, and the percent number goes up in the top left. Of 400. And there's our of 400 right there. Let's move down to problem number 2. What 40 is 20% of what number? So again, fraction equals fraction, 100 by default on the bottom left. 40 is the is number going on the top right. 20%, 20 is our percent number going on the top left. Of what number? The of is the missing value down in the bottom right. In the third problem here, again, fraction equals fraction, 100 on the bottom left. What percent? I'm missing the percent number on the top left. Of 80, of goes on the bottom, is 16. Notice in each of these proportions that I'm creating, 100 is always on the bottom left, leaving 3 positions. In this problem, in problem number 3, I've got the x on the top left. Moving up to problem number 2, I have the x on the bottom right. And moving back up to problem number 1, I've got it in the top right position. So in problems 1, 2, 3 on this page, you're seeing x in each of the different positions it can be in. Now you have a proportion to solve in each of these cases. Each of these can be solved by cross multiplication, but if you notice and find nice, neat relationships, such as in this first problem, I can multiply by 4 going from the first denominator to the second. I can do the same thing up in the numerator, 36 times 4, and I can get x equals 144 in a nice, clean way without having to do much mental arithmetic. In the second case, I look at my numbers and I say, 20 and 40. I'm multiplying by 2 from numerator to numerator, so I can do the same thing down below and find that x is going to equal 200. In problem number 3, you might not know that 16 times 5 is 80, so there's a multiply by 5 going from top to bottom. So let me just show you how you would do this if the numbers weren't neat. You would cross multiply, and one diagonal would be 80 times x. The other diagonal would be 100 times 16, which is 1,600. And then dividing each side by 80, I would have x equals 20, and since we're finding the percent number, I will put the percent sign on to label it. Done. That's how you solve these proportions, using this percent number formula. Now let's go back up to problem number 1 again and try it with an algebraic approach. What is? Oh, what is? I don't know. Must be x. X is 36% needs to be written as a decimal, 0.36, of 400. Of means multiply, so we'd have times 400. Doing the multiplication here, you would get x equals 144. And in this case, that actually was a little bit less work using the algebraic approach. In problem number 2, 40 is. Okay, let's write 40 equals 20%, that would be 0.20, of what? That means times unknown, times x. This time we would need to be dividing each side by the 0.2. You'd probably have to do a little bit of long division here. 40 divided by the 0.2. You'd have to move that decimal one place over, put a decimal in over here, go one place over. 2 goes into 400, 200 times. There's our x equals 200 that way. To me, that's a little bit more work using that approach on the right. Moving on to the third problem. What percent? I don't know. What percent x of 80, that would mean times 80, is 16. Okay, let's divide each side by the 80. X equals, now when you do the division, 16 divided by 80, it doesn't go in evenly. You need to put your decimal in. You can put a 0 after it. Now 80 goes into 160 2 times. Your answer is not 0.2, as you can see on the left. You'd have to know on your own to convert that to 20%, moving the decimal 2 places to the right. Because of the variation and the things that can go wrong with this method in red, I personally prefer what I've done there on the left in blue. But I give you both approaches, and you choose the one that works the best for you.